Jay, let's talk about the house husband. Okay. Um, you had circumstances in your life that changed your day to day activities. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
Well, you know, I was always the hard worker, and I still try to be. In anything I'm doing, especially when you get out of prison, you gotta you feel like you gotta prove everybody wrong. So I worked my way up to where I'm at now, um, and I won't throw a figure out there, but I was making really good money, doing what I was doing, and I got run over and broke my fibula, my ankle, about four of my toes. I have
Mm.
permanent nerve damage, plates, screws, pins, and this happened 5 days before the official pandemic shutdown. So I was bedridden for 6 months. Um,
Wow.
I, I don't know if you guys have heard the podcast, but for you guys who don't know, I have an 11-year-old. Well, then he was what, 10 now, or 9? Um, yeah, 10. Sorry, he was 10 then, and he has special needs. And then at that time, also had a 1-year-old. Um, and kids keep you on your toes at all times. My 10-year-old had so much anxiety, having Down syndrome, that he couldn't stand to see me in pain. So my wife literally uprooted my kids from their bedroom. He didn't even want to be upstairs. He wanted to be away from me entirely. So she uprooted them from their bedroom, put them downstairs on the couch in the blow up mattress. And then because I was so out of it, she had to administer my medicine every 4 hours, day and night. On top of that, having to deal with going to the store during the height of the pandemic when everybody was panicking over toilet paper. Um, every time I heard the door close, I'm thinking to myself, I can't do anything if something happens to her. I can't get up. I can't get up. I can barely get up to use the bathroom. I'm crawling to the bathroom because I don't want to keep asking her to come help me. It's kind of my pride. Um, but that completely changed my outlook on who she was in my life and everything she's provided because like I said, I got to a place in my life where I was making so much money and I felt I wasn't a deadbeat husband or a deadbeat father. I just wasn't doing everything I could have been doing. I started getting a little complacent, right? There's a difference between comfortability and complacency. And for me, I was getting real complacent where I was just coming home, sitting on the couch, dinner was already made. And then, I'd watch a game, especially if it was Thursday night. Come Thursday night football, that's a late night game. I'm not getting to bed until,
Right.
they're already asleep, and then I got to get up early in the morning. I don't even see my family, So it's like I was I was present, but I wasn't mentally, spiritually, emotionally present. I was physically there, but I wasn't involved, So when I got hurt, I really had to ask myself, who are you without a paycheck? What value do you bring to your family without a paycheck? What is your place in this family without a paycheck? And I went down a deep hole trying to figure out who I was and who I wanted to be, battling with my ego of not being able to work, and my kind of went into a little depression. And then I started the podcast, and then I started getting my mind right, my spirit right. I won't go into too much of my religious beliefs, not to offend anyone, but you know, my God was talking to me and saying, I called you to be more than what you are right now. So for me, I needed to get up and start doing something for myself. I made so many excuses in that time of everything I couldn't do because of my circumstances, that I wasn't looking at everything that I could do despite the circumstances. So um, I learned how to be a stay-at-home dad. you know, I learned how to schedule. I learned how to wake up during distance learning, get my kids ready for school, breakfast made, meals prepped, and I every day I applaud my wife. Even to this day, even though I feel like I got it down pretty good, I applaud her. Like, damn, I don't know how you kept the house that clean. Cause this is a mess over here, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna clean it right now. And she'll always be like, no, no, I got it, don't worry. I'm like, no, 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 no. And this is where she got to check me about the gender roles. Where she's like, "No, this is our home, so I'll clean it. You took care of the kids all day. You cooked dinner, gave them a bath. I'll clean it. Don't worry about it." And I'm learning how to be a better husband and a better father during this pandemic. And so definitely a blessing in disguise.
Man, that is a great story, man. Very powerful and moving story. And really quick, let me ask you this. Did you feel pressure from being a stay-at-home dad? Yeah, anything from your peers?
Man, my podcast is all about changing the narrative of fatherhood by changing the perception of fathers and father figures, right? Because we get a bad shake, and it's not unwarranted in the sense of 19.5 million kids, 19.6 now million kids living in fatherless homes for whatever reason. 60% of them black, So for me, um, it was weird at first, going to the park in the middle of the day with all the other moms and me just being there with my kids, and they looking at me like, "Oh, you ain't got no job," So you kind of have this, you kind of have to feel like you pump your chest out a little bit, and but there was no amount of pumping my chest out that made me feel any more proud, because I just felt defeated for a long time, and I felt like dad guilt, like even though the situation was out of my control, what happened, the accident that happened, I'm still out of control. And sometimes you start to lose a little bit when you start feeling out of control, because you don't know who to give the control to. You don't want to give that control up. And then you start thinking about for me, I had to start thinking about my wife going back into the workforce. She was a stay-at-home mom. So she had to go back into the workforce. And so now it's like, you've been out of work for this long. You got to go back into the workforce during the pandemic. So there was a lot of mama life calls it dad guilt. There was a lot of dad guilt, man, and husband guilt. And then it all hit me again, because it was like I'm reliving my prison time, because when my son was born, he was also born with TMD leukemia, and he had blood transfusions. I asked if I could get out for a few hours to give a bone marrow transfusion. They denied me. He chemotherapy, 10 hours old, in the NICU for 67 days, and I'm helpless. I'm not doing any of this. And so it's just like, I left you alone again. I'm leaving you alone now. Is this going to continue to be a pattern? So, I just felt like there was a lot of pride swallowing that I had to do, to say, you know what, this for right now, for whatever reason, is the position God wants me to be in. So I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it with a grateful heart, because I get to spend time with my kids that I didn't get to spend while I was working my 9 to 5, and now I get to make up for that lost time, in a sense.
Okay. Man, that is amazing.